So we apologize for anything we said that may have been unclear on these points.
They still invited Matt Gaetz, though, I would just like to know.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about The View yet again putting out false information about conservatives, and this time they had to walk it back. Not once, but at least twice, possibly more than that. Now, before I get to the video, which I do have, and I'll also place in the description so you can see it without my commentary, I have to explain what's going on here. Now, Turning Point USA, which is a 501c3 whose purpose is to educate and train students primarily about how to promote freedom in the USA, they had an event out there in Tampa, Florida called SAS, Student Action Summit. So the whole point was to have a lot of speakers come in from all over the place, a lot of political people. I think Donald Trump was there, Ted Cruz, Matt Gaetz, a lot of people were there. A lot of influencers were there. It was a really good event. I would have gone to it personally, even though it's mostly a younger crowd, but I just didn't really know about it until too late. There are people that are my age and a little bit older that come there, but primarily it's for kids, high school, college. Anyway, they had their event, and outside their event were some interesting quote unquote protesters that The View tried to lay at the feet of Turning Point USA. Or they say, oh, these people, these Nazis or whatever, carrying the Nazi regalia, you guys let them in. They were invited by Turning Point USA. That was not correct at all. Now, before I go any further, let's roll a couple of clips. The first clip is going to be The View making the assumptions about these people being invited by Turning Point USA. Then you're going to see the retraction. But after we get done with that, I'll come back. I'll talk about what was said there. Then I'll give you the rest of my 2 cents and my deep detail analysis. And then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Okay, so you have to read this thing.
Oh, I've got a legal note. The conservative group.
Sonny normally does this, but
I know.
Yes.
This is our knockoff lawyer.
Okay.
The conservative group Turning Point USA has condemned the group of neo-Nazis and said they have nothing to do with the organization.
Yeah, but where was DeSantis is what I want to know.
But you let them in.
President, open your
You let them in and you knew what they were.
Right.
So you are complicit. We'll be right back. Sorry.
So on Monday, we talked about the fact that there were openly neo-Nazi demonstrators outside the Florida Student Action Summit of the Turning Point USA group. We want to make clear that these demonstrators were gathered outside the event and that they were not invited or endorsed by Turning Point USA. A Turning Point USA spokesman said the group, quote, 100% condemns those ideologies, and said Turning Point USA security tried to remove the neo-Nazis from the area but could not because they were on public property. Also, Turning Point USA wanted us to clarify that this was a Turning Point USA summit and not a Republican Party event. So we apologize for anything we said that may have been unclear on these points.
They still invited Matt Gaetz, though, I would just like to know.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, I don't know what's going on with The View. You see in the first clip, they tried to put out this legal disclaimer, but even in that legal disclaimer, they couldn't help themselves but to go ahead, libel and slander Turning Point. They couldn't help but say things that are just false. When you're putting out something like that, you know you can't just say whatever. If you're going to say something, you have to know exactly what you're talking about. You got to have the facts. Because what happens on shows like this, they'll just say pretty much anything that they think of and pass it off as fact, or they will have so much belief in it and so much confidence in it. They want you to have the same belief and confidence that they have in it, meaning it might not be true. This is probably not necessarily correct, but close enough. Might as well just say it. You know, they still invited Matt Gaetz. So they're still trying to characterize Turning Point USA as some kind of, far right, hateful, racist, Nazi organization, when that's simply not the case. Turning Point denounced the so-called Nazis. Turning Point denounced any kind of racism. They're against all those negative things, but yet The View and other quote-unquote programs want to lay that at their feet, and it's not correct. It's not right at all. So rightfully so, they had to go back and issue a retraction, walk that on back. There should be a public apology. Like I'm talking about, go to Turning Point headquarters in Arizona and apologize right there. Call out Charlie Kirk and apologize right to him on camera. You should do that, because when you say stuff like that, what you're doing is trying to damage the movement, and you're trying to help your Democratic partners out there in D.C. You're trying to help your Stacey Abrams and all these left-wing politicos. You see, when things happen that the left does, the left, when I'm talking about the left, I say the political people and the media, they typically ignore it. Sometimes they'll throw you a bone and talk about it when they can't really ignore it. Like if Joe Biden's out there looking like he's halfway dead, the eyes are wide open. He has toothpicks that are invisible up under his eyes, keeping them open like this here. It ain't blinking. When something like that happens, maybe they'll talk about it. I've not really seen that happen a lot. But if they'll throw you a bone every now and again and put that out there. But for the most part, they'll ignore anything that the left does that is newsworthy in a negative way. But anytime they think there might be something with the right, they want to hop all over it. Now, here are some pictures of the guys that we're talking about, right? These so-called neo-Nazis that were outside the event. Now, again, these guys were outside of the Turning Point event. They were not inside. They were not invited. They were not part of the programming. They came to this event on their own. Now, this reminds me of the whole Patriot Front kerfuffle. I've covered those guys. You know, the Patriot Front, they are presumed to be some kind of white supremacist, white nationalist organization, but everybody in there is fit. I don't see no beer bellies. I'm seeing young guys, clean shaven, garment watches. I'm seeing basically federales. Like this right here looks just way too polished. Look, the flag looks all nice and pressed. You got a nice little neck gaiter on with your logo and everything. It just looks too polished, too well put together. Your merchandise is like it's brand new, out the box, matching logos, same kind of outfits on. It just looks too well done. Too well done, right? I guess these guys are Nazis. I've never seen them before. If you guys know who these guys are, y'all let me know in the comments. But stuff like that, it just appears to be fake. So these were some of the guys that were outside of Turning Point USA event. And that's why The View and other people and platforms labeled Turning Point as a haven for these kind of people. But why would you do that? You see, you characterize Turning Point as a racist organization from the beginning. Then you use things like this to confirm it. Because check it out. If there was a left-wing event and these guys showed up outside and were protesting, you would say, oh, these are counter-protesters. Okay, these guys hate the left. They hate those who were in there having their event, right? But you don't say the same thing about Turning Point because you think that they're on the same side. When in reality, a lot of these white supremacist groups, they tend to be more leftist than anything else. They're like far leftist extremists. Now, I'm not saying the hate group is just a regular leftist. I'm not saying that. Your regular normie leftist is not an extremist. They just don't really know any better, in my humble opinion. They're just kind of ignorant for the most part. I would say that your general leftist is just kind of ignorant. They don't really know what's going on. But some do, and they really believe in what they believe in. But guys like this are not your average lefty. These guys are your far leftists that want to go out here and just cause problems, and or they want to present themselves as conservatives to confuse people. So you think that they're on the conservative side, and you think that the conservatives invite guys like this, or they attract guys like this to the movement, but in reality, that ain't the case. We shun guys like that away. We don't like that kind of stuff, and we definitely don't like the federales trying to pose as conservatives who are posing as racial groups. We don't like that. That's not what conservatives are all about. So yeah, shout out to Turning Point USA. They did not take the nonsense. It's like, look, you're not going to get on television and just say whatever you want to say about us. Okay, you can't just issue libel, slander whenever you want. No, you're not going to do that. That's damaging to our reputation as Turning Point USA, as a 501c3, and also it hurts the kids who are part of our movement. Their parents are concerned. Their friends are concerned. The community that they serve, they're concerned. Okay, even some of the kids that are involved with it, and even some of the older people like myself, if we buy into the narrative, we get concerned too. It's not a good look. And you know what? As I close, I'm going to say this. This is a big part of the reason why people don't really trust the mainstream media anymore. They keep putting out fake stuff, even in the midst of them apologizing, or not apologizing, but issuing a retraction for this. Even in the midst of that, they still want to kind of throw darts at Turning Point USA. That's not how you handle it at all. You don't handle it this way. You handle things the correct way. And by trying to just make these accusations and trying to draw parallels, oh, Matt Gaetz is there. Trying to do that does not help your reputation. It does not help you try to get on the right side of people. I want you to lead with honesty rather than just your political narrative, which is often driven by dishonesty. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what said you? How do you feel about these quote unquote retractions or apologies or whatever you want to call it from The View as it relates to the Turning Point USA event, SAS in Tampa, Florida? Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This is the exact reason why people like myself, yourself, and many others do not trust the media. They keep putting out fake stuff. And oftentimes, the initial story gets more attention than the retraction. That's typically how it goes. And they kind of count on that. They understand that they're not necessarily that dumb. I mean, they do some things that make you kind of scratch your head, like, why would you do this? Kind of silly. But they're not all the way dumb. They do things, and they do it for a particular reason. They know if they put out any kind of information, it'll be believed. And when they issue a retraction, people may see it, but it's going to be fewer people who see that than who saw the initial false information. That's how they operate. And people, when they start to kind of catch on to it little by little, they lose more and more faith in the mainstream media. I've lost faith in them totally. I know you guys have as well. And it's going to continue until they crash all the way down to the ground. And those of us that are going to be on the alternative media platforms will be the only ones left standing. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.